Shawn.
Mike?
What is this, a crossover episode? Yowza, yowza, bobowza.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and
welcome.
gentlemen,
Ladies and
we
gentlemen,
got him.
We got him.
We got
Shawn's
Bojack dead to
finally
fucking
watched.
rights. We got him.
He's finally watched the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 11 of Season 2, Escape from L.A. 9.3 on IMDb.
What a terrible series of events.
Yes. Shawn. But the good news is Shawn doesn't have suicidal thoughts, or at least more than he did before.
Yeah, no. Well, here's the thing, right? Somebody else fucked up in this. You know, this was a situation that was like, man, Bojack's just a bad person. Like that. Yeah. This didn't hit me like some of the other episodes of the show have happened, where like
this isn't as relatable.
Yeah, exactly. Where I'm like, oh, I relate to this. In this, it's like watching a car or like a car wreck or like a train derailment, and you just can't stop watching, but you're like immediately this is not going to end well.
Yeah.
I do have live reactions to the episode here.
Before we get into that, though, Shawn, this episode aired on July 17th, 2015, and we get to talk about what happened on that day, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, we're almost for the last time.
Almost, yeah, we have to do this 2 more times.
After today, you'll never have to say that again.
Actually, you know what? Next episode, we'll do it 1 more time, but this episode, we're gonna go to July 18th. Let's figure out what happened on the next day.
What? Why?
Because it's very likely that you didn't watch this episode on the day it came out. Like as if you're a Bojack fan that was like ready, right?
Okay.
You know, so we'll switch it up for one day.
You're saying that like that because like the whole season dropped at once, there's no way this episode actually got watched on the day that it dropped?
I'm not saying no way, but more than likely you watched it the next day.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So on July 18th, 2015,
this is really a stretch for you to not have to talk about the.
Well, it could be worse. We'll see.
I kind of hope it is.
The Sun newspaper in Britain controversially publishes an old picture and video of Queen Elizabeth giving a Nazi salute in 1933.
It's immediately worse. It's immediately worse. It's immediately worse.
PayPal is spun off from eBay.
She just died, Mike.
Well, she shouldn't have been saluting Nazis. I don't know. What the fuck? It's not my fault. PayPal is spun off from eBay as a separate publicly traded company on the NASDAQ.
Yeah, Elon Musk, right?
Yeah, sure. Buddy Bui, American rock songwriter and record producer, dies of a heart attack at 74.
Okay, that's pretty tragic.
Yeah.
That's not...
I mean, 74...
No.
Average life expectancy is probably, what, 75?
Yeah, but like, it's not 90.
So I guess...
It's not 99,
It's not 99, that's true. Alex Rocco, American actor known for The Godfather and the famous Teddy Z, dies at 79. So if we're comparing the two, Alex Rocco made it a little farther there.
Yeah, he was a little higher ranked.
Yeah,
in competitive.
He finished a little more of the battle pass.
Yeah. The other guy from last episode died at rank 99 on the battle pass.
Yeah, that's. Dude, he's not gonna get the skin.
There was a skin at 100, dude.
And then on the music charts, it's the same. Obviously, Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth.
Damn.
Little Mix. So, there we go. There's what happened on the day after. Little somberness, for today.
Yeah.
Before we get into the episode,
is it not somber every time?
Because it's the day after, like the oh, the day after, you get hit on the day of, and then the day after, it's more like somber. I don't know, dude.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing. Before we get into the episode, we do have a review from our good friend Edvis1997.
For Bojack, not the podcast. But
yes,
if
not
Edvis
a
is
review for
listening,
us. Yeah, Edvis, if you're listening, we'd love you to review us.
Yeah, please.
Edvis reviewed this on July 12th, 2019, which is 4 years after it came out. So,
okay. So
Edvis
what happened on that day?
I can look if you want. Hold on, let me.
Maybe we should change the what happened on this day bit to revolve around when Edvis reviewed it.
The website, I typed in the date, and the website that I normally have doesn't pull up.
Does that day not exist in reality or something? Man, this is great podcasting, Mike.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. Nothing happened on that day.
Nothing happened?
Nothing happened on that day.
Nothing.
It says no entries found. The number one song was Old Town Road by Lil Nas X featuring Billy Ray Cyrus, and in the UK it was Señorita by Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello. And there's no entry. Nothing
Interesting.
happened. So good job, Edvis. Anyway, Edvis's review says, Bojack is doing what he used to. Nothing new, but it makes this episode good.
Damn. Nothing.
Good.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you.
I guess it is nothing new. It's just
nothing
rough. New.
So you've kind of talked about what you thought of this episode a little bit, but that's the format of this podcast is you normally would now tell me what you thought of this episode. So that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. So I have my live reactions that I sent to you, Mike, as I was watching them, and I think that, or watching the episode, I think it's pretty insightful. So I was just gonna read this string of thoughts I had here, which it goes. No, what the fuck? No, what the fuck? Oh no, oh my god, please don't, oh my god, no. Bojack is a terrible person. This is a fucking train wreck. Yeah, so that's what I thought of the episode.
That kind of describes the episode. It picks up where we left off last episode, where he shows up at Charlotte's store. And
they fucking they play with your expectations here at the beginning very well.
Yeah, they really do, because he's like, hey, and she's like, what are you doing here? And so good to see you, blah blah blah. And he's like, do you want to go get a drink? And she's like, it's 8 a.m. And he goes, it's 5 p.m. in LA. She goes, that's just not correct. And he goes, I don't know what time it is. And she goes, when's the last time you slept? Let's get you back to my place.
Yes.
And the way she says it, you're like, oh, shit, this might work out, right?
Yeah.
And then she goes, I can't wait for you to meet Kyle and the kids. And Bojack goes, tell me that's the name of your band. And she laughs. And then for the first time, we don't get the typical intro sequence to Bojack Horseman. We get Kyle and the kids, which is one of my favorite little Bojack songs. I don't have a credit here for it, but I'm assuming it's by Jesse Novak. Who is
Jesse Novak, Carrick Morgarity?
What?
That's who it's credited to on Spotify.
Okay,
but Jesse Novak and then somebody else.
Yeah, so Jesse Novak, he does the whole score of Bojack, and has some really, really cool work coming up, but he does stuff like this really well. I love that it's like an 80s sitcom thing, but then it starts to get like it's from Bojack's perspective, like you can tell, because like it's like Kyle and the kids, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like he loves his wife and there's nothing you can do. Like it's like starting to like nothing's gonna be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And It's really funny.
It's kind of, it's really impressive. It's the most horrifying upbeat song I've ever heard.
Yeah,
like it somehow captures the like beautiful innocence of like 80s sitcom with this like uncanny horror movie vibe of like, oh no,
yeah,
like, everything is gonna be terrible.
Because we know. What Bojack was there for. He thought he was going to like change his life by meeting up with this person who he always regretted never, having a more serious relationship with, and it's not what he expected, right? So we cut to
no, I'll save this thought until we've actually talked about the whole episode, because it kind of it has context from the whole thing.
Okay. So we get to their table in their kitchen or dining room, and there's Kyle and the kids, Penny and Trip, and Bojack's there, and it's a bit awkward, but Penny in particular is really questioning why Bojack's there, and he makes up a lie about a Santa Fe boat show.
Yeah, and Trip is a boner again, so
yeah,
let's
Trip
not
gets
forget.
a boner.
Let's not I know Penny's kind of the important character in this episode, but I think that Trip's struggle in this episode as well is very.
Well, it's really funny because even in the song they go, "There's Penny. She's in high school, and then they have a son. The son's name is Trip."
Yeah.
Like they don't care about Trip. It's very clear. Trip does not matter.
But you're right. Like Penny's on his trail immediately.
Instantly.
She's like,
instantly.
"Why are you really here?"
And then Kyle is voiced by Ed Helms, which is just really funny to me.
Okay, I was like, I fucking know this voice.
Yep.
I was like, I know this voice. Who is it? That makes sense.
Ed Helms.
It's kind of an Ed Helms role.
It is. Like it just. I'm kind of the comedian of the family. Like kind of like that. You know.
It's very Andy, whatever his last name was in The Office.
Yeah, I wanted to say Andy Dwyer, but that's Chris Pratt's character in Parks and Rec.
I don't.
Andy Bernard.
Yep, there you go.
The Nard Dog. Boner champ.
Yep.
So Bojack gets a phone call that excuses him from Penny's grilling of him, and it's Princess Carolyn, and she goes, "Hey, you're," and he pretends it's his boat guy, and he gets outside, and Princess Carolyn is like, when are you coming back to set? And he goes, "Can you give me a couple days? This isn't what I expected." And she's like, "Bojack, like if you get pink eye, I can give you a couple days." There's a funny bit. What's the name of the city they're in? To
Santa Barbara?
No.
Oh.
No. Santa Barbara is where Wanda wanted them to go on vacation.
Oh.
It's like Tecumseh or something like that.
I don't remember where, but they're in New Mexico.
Yeah, it's in New Mexico. But Princess Carolyn does this bit. Well, you better and she puts in front of everything.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna get your ass sued.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, can you just buy me some time?
He breaks his fucking phone, doesn't he?
Not yet.
Okay.
So Charlotte comes outside and is like, "Hey, I'm really glad you're here." And she's like giving him like vibes, like, and I don't think she intends to. Like, she's just being warm and welcoming, but it's definitely like giving Bojack that one like glimmer of hope, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, She's like, you should stay the weekend after the boat show." And he goes, "Well, if there's anything I can do to help you, I don't want to impose on you guys." And that's when Penny comes outside and she needs someone to drive her or to go with her while she practices driving. And
they also, they also have this exchange between Bojack and Charlotte where, I'm trying to remember like what the exact wording of it is, but Bojack pretty much is like, or she says it would be weird, he says it would be weird to not have a family or whatever.
Right. She says, "I hope it's not weird for you that I have a family." And he's like, "No, it'd be weird for someone your age to not have a family." And then he like realizes what he said because he doesn't have one. And she goes, "Well, no, not you. You're like really busy with your career." And he's like, "Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, he's so busy,
my career. Dude." Yeah. Penny comes out. She wants someone to take her. She goes, "Why doesn't Bojack take me?" And Charlotte can't because she has to go back to the store because she already closed for the morning. And he's like, "Okay, I can do that." So Bojack and Penny are rolling down the street, and we get to know Penny a little more, and we get some funny, like, her explaining her high school drama.
So Allison F. was talking to Rachel Kaplan who heard from Ray Ray and the Bean that Diego would want to go to prom right now with Ali Sandler.
Right.
So
and Bojack the whole time's like, I don't need to know. I don't know any of these people. I don't need to know their names.
It's all very important. And it reminds me of the scenes in like the Ant-Man movies with Luis.
Yeah, it does have that vibe a little bit, yeah. So we find out she's driving past Diego's house over and over.
Yeah, totally
just
chill.
In case she gets a shot, a chance to see him. But then when he does come out, she freaks.
Yeah.
But before that, they have a conversation where she kind of calls him out, and she goes, "What's your plan? The boat show in New Mexico? Come on." And Bojack kind of opens up to her and goes, "I didn't like who I was in L.A., and I didn't know where else to go. Please don't tell your parents.
Weird thing to say to a teenager, but yeah.
Yes. A bit of a weird thing to say.
Mike, I'm not going to lie. I called where this episode was going the second I saw her daughter.
Really?
Yeah, because my mind immediately went to the worst case scenario. I was like, what is the worst possible thing that could happen in this episode? And it was that what happens in this episode is going to happen. And as the episode went on, because like, I say I called it, but I was like, that would be the worst possible scenario. And then because I had that in my mind as the worst possible scenario, the episode builds up to it. And like, I could see it coming. I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen now as this is going on. But it's just, every time he opens up to her, I'm like, she's 17, dude. She's not, don't open up to her. Stop it.
Right.
He also, at the beginning of this scene, he like immediately gives away the bag. Like, this girl is already suspicious of him, and the first thing he says is like,
oh, that's right.
Do you think your parents really love each other? Or is it more a staying together for the kid situation? Like,
she's like, why would you ask me that? I'm just making small talk. Classic Bojack. So then she also points out that if he comes home without a boat, that'll be pretty obvious. She crashes his car. She says, please don't tell my parents that we crashed your car. He says, deal. And then they show up with a boat in the driveway, a big-ass fucking boat. There's also a funny scene while the boat shows up where they're talking about Tripp's basketball game and how he didn't get to play. And Tripp goes, maybe they'll let me in the next time. And he goes, yeah, son. And then he looks at Shawn and goes, there's no way that's going to happen. Poor Tripp. At least he didn't get a boner during the basketball game like Penny thought he would.
No, yeah. Well, I mean,
so the boat.
We don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I guess we don't know. Maybe he on the bench he got a boner. Who knows?
He might have.
So the boat shows up and everybody's really excited about the boat. Tripp gets to go on it and he goes, I got my way. A waterbed. Think about all the floating.
Bojack is very against the idea of calling the boat she.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, what are you going to name her? And he's like, well, it is a boat.
And then Penny suggests Escape from LA, which he likes.
Yeah.
But then Kyle goes up to the boat and is like, you're a good girl, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Ooh, are you a bad girl? And he's like, are you flirting with my boat? He goes, oh, I'm just kidding. I'm kind of the comedian of the family. Do you mind if I get on top of her? And Bojack's like, knock yourself out, man. So then at this point, everybody gets on the boat except Charlotte, and Charlotte's like, hey, you should stay through the weekend.
Oh, this is when
you should stay through the weekend, like, at least, now you have a bed to sleep in, everybody here loves you. And Princess Carolyn calls him again, and she's like, okay, like, Jill Pill's called again, and he goes, I don't care about that. Okay, well, remember with the orphanage thing with Herb Kazaz, and she's like, I don't care about that. And then he's like, I'm not coming back to set on Monday. And she goes, Bojack, how, like, I can't keep putting these fires out for you. And he goes, well, why don't you just let them burn? And she goes, what? And then he hangs up and he stomps his phone because he is going to live here in New Mexico. And then it pans out to these two lizard people who are like, I'm sure she's like, it's such an eyesore. And he goes, I'm sure if we ask them to move the boat, they'll move it. And then 2 months later, and the boat's still there.
Why do they let him stay so long? Why do they let him stay so long? I
don't know.
They don't know him. They don't know him.
Here's the thing. You get the vibe that everything is going very well, though.
And
like he's he talks about he's like applying to get a job as like an acting teacher. And,
at like the local community college, I think.
Community college, and him and Kyle get along, which is like the most surprising thing to me because you think he would have some kind of like, but it seems like for this 2 months he has behaved himself.
But also, I wonder if part of this is also an unreliable narrator type thing.
Oh, I don't know. Think because we're seeing it through Bojack?
Maybe. I don't know. It's so strange. It's so strange how they accept him so quickly into their family.
They seem like nice people, and,
Yeah.
and Charlotte's kind of vouching for him in this scenario. Like, I get that. I agree that it is weird.
Yeah.
But I think I don't think that it's like out of the question that something like this could happen, right?
Yeah,
like,
I agree. I just am like, man.
I don't know that you could just like. I mean, I guess boats sit in driveways all the time, but it's a really big boat.
No, you can't. You can't do that. There's maybe.
I mean, you can live in a boat in a driveway.
It might be different because like I get the vibe that they're in a small place, but you can't do that. Like even trailers, there's certain like there's certain laws about where they have to be. So yeah, there's no way.
So they're at dinner, and Bojack's talking about the community college thing, and then Trip goes, "Wow, Mom, these Brussels sprouts are great," and Kyle goes, "I don't know, honey, they're not that good." Just kidding, honey, these are great.
That's
that's like the worst joke.
The delivery of it actually reminds me like so clearly of when you and Jason think that a joke is not funny and then you guys like play it. Like somebody will say something in chat and you guys will be like, "You guys see what he said?" Like it's like uncanny. Like immediately that's all I could think.
And then I love that he goes, "In show business, they call that a bit, right, Bojack?" And he goes, "That's right, buddy. Put a couple of those together and you got yourself a riff." It's like they're best friends. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And then Penny's not having it. And someone's in a bit of a mood.
I hate my life. I can't wait to be dead.
Yeah. And both immediately Bojack and Charlotte go, "I'll talk to her." So the issue is Diego doesn't want to go to prom with her, and prom is coming up, and she can't go to prom alone, Mom. That would be, and it's clear that Charlotte doesn't relate to Penny nearly as much as Bojack does, which is like a huge
red flag in my
everything
opinion.
He says, she's like, yeah, Bojack's right. That would be great. And they come up with this plan to have Bojack go to prom with her because then she'll, according to Bojack, not feel pressured and not she'll be able to like be cool and have a good time, and then Diego will get jealous and this whole plan.
This is such a terrible plan.
Poor Kyle walks up and he's like, "Dad, Bojack's taking me to prom," and he's like in a tux and his flowers, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that makes way more sense." Poor Kyle.
Most scenarios, it would be weird if like your dad's best friend since childhood took you to prom.
Yeah.
Like that would be weird. Like this is, and like I bring that up because I'm trying to come up with like a situation where a older man who is unrelated to you might be socially acceptable taking you to prom. And that is the closest I can get, and I still don't think that's socially acceptable.
I don't think it's ever socially acceptable, but like, okay, let me say your family knew like Brad Pitt, right?
That's
like,
okay. That's
Brad Pitt wants to go to prom with me just to like be cool and do a thing.
That's the closest.
I can see.
That's the closest I can see.
But Bojack is not Brad Pitt.
They don't know him.
Right.
They don't know. And like, I wouldn't be harping on that fact so much if Charlotte didn't say it at the end. We'll get to it.
For sure.
But like,
for sure.
Like they like she knows him the most of all of them. And even she says that. Like, this is just such a, man, it's such a terrible plan. And I don't know how anybody goes with it. But also, I also think it's really telling about Bojack's character that during this whole scene, he's totally on the same page as the 17-year-old, and the actual adult in the room is like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?"
Right.
But Bojack is like with it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know how this 17-year-old thinks, and I think the same way as her." Like, it's very telling.
So my point is, or what I wanted to say was, I don't think, Bojack has any ill will at this point.
Absolutely. I don't think it's out. I don't think he's being like predatory or anything.
No, I don't either. I think he really thinks this is a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Because I wanted to see if we were on the same page on that.
No,
because I've heard people say it both ways, and I'm like, I
I don't think at any point that in this episode Bojack is being consciously predatory.
I don't know if I agree with that, but I'd say at this point he's not.
We'll talk about it at the end. Yeah. I don't think it's conscious. I think he is being, but I don't think he is like
he's not
setting out to do it.
He's not sitting there going, okay, well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So they go to prom and they get ready to go to prom and they're taking pictures and she has her new best friend Maddie, which it's funny because Kyle goes, I thought your best friend was, I think the name was Allison F. And she goes, that was 2 best friends ago, but that was literally just 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That's how teenagers work.
Yep.
And
I have a little sister. Yep. That happens all the time.
She hasn't been my best friend for years.
Yeah.
And Maddie's actually voiced by Ali Wong.
Oh, awesome.
And Pete Repeat is the other character.
Dude,
who is known for repeating things. And he's voiced by Jermaine Fowler, who I'm not familiar with, other than he was in Coming to America too.
Okay, he was also in Sorry to Bother You, apparently, which I've heard is a great movie.
He's voicing James Jr. in Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Okay, all right.
I don't know who James Jr. is.
That show is just like a Disney show. It's not even like an MCU thing. It's
right, but still,
it's very
Devil
cute.
Dinosaur.
Yeah, no,
Devil Dinosaur's dope.
Yeah, you like them because of Marvel Snap.
No, I just like Devil Dinosaur because he's a fucking dinosaur. Anyway, so they get in the car and Maddie has some Red Bull and vodka and Bojack tastes it and is like, "Oh, what's wrong with you? This isn't real shit. Let's go get you some real shit."
Just immediately is like, let's go to the liquor store. Like,
if you're gonna drink, you're gonna drink responsibly.
Oh my god.
And you're gonna cut it with water so you don't get hungover.
Oh my god.
And so he gets them some real booze, and they go to the prom. And
which hit song? I don't know what the song is titled, but it must be like Drake or something.
Yeah.
It goes.
I'm Drake.
We're Drake and we be on that Drake.
We be on that Drake.
No faking. Like
I don't know anything about Drake.
Neither do I, but that's how I imagine all of his songs go.
Yep.
We have a friend.
I like that the DJ's a scorpion.
Yes, that's great. I was gonna say we have a mutual friend that's really, really into Drake.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about without knowing who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But so they're the prom's kind of lame.
He's way too comfortable.
Bojack he kicks the DJ off and tries to do the Bojack, which is the first time we get the reference to doing the Bojack. It will return.
This whole
terrible.
Scene, yeah, it's terrible. This whole scene reminds me of an episode of Community where Jeff, one of the characters, Jeff, gets on anti-anxiety pills, and the the thesis of the episode is that his anxiety was the only thing keeping him in check.
So he's just running wild.
Like once he gets on his anxiety pills, like he's like, oh, I'm so comfortable now, and everything he does is unhinged. And that's how I feel about Bojack in this scene, is like he feels really comfortable in the setting and his normal anxiety isn't present and he just makes terrible decisions.
I love that when he kicks the DJ off and changes the music, one girl goes, "Why is there an adult at our high school prom?"
Yeah.
Also, we get a number of times where Pete Repeat just doesn't repeat what he says.
I think he only repeats what he says once in the episode.
And it's like at the most inappropriate time.
Yeah.
But he keeps going, "Oh shoot, did I repeat that?
Yeah.
Oh well, I bet I did. I'm Pete Repeat."
He is Pete Repeat.
So they're talking Maddie's pretty drunk and she wants more booze, and so she's like, "Can we go out to the car?" And she's like speaking nonsense because she's that drunk at this point.
This is not the drunkest she's gonna get this episode.
No. But Bojack goes, "Well, why don't we just leave?" And they're like, "We can't leave." And he goes, "Yes, you can. You guys are young and they don't tell you that you're not trapped here. You can go." Like it's like this weird
You can do anything.
You can do anything. It's like this weird, like regret-filled speech from him, and they go, "Okay." So
also,
Bojack,
maybe laying some groundwork and inspiring some behavior in Penny. You can do anything you want.
Right. So he grabs some balloons on the way out, and then they go and grab some glow sticks from the store, and they go by the town's water tower, and they tape the glow sticks to the balloons and release them, and it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. It's visually very interesting.
Visually very interesting. The kind of thing you wouldn't think to do as a high schooler, but you'd be like, if you did, you'd be like, oh, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And Penny wants to go on top of the tower, and Maddie wants to come, but she is too drunk, so she just lays on a rock and says, this is fine. They get up there, and she says, this night has been perfect, but I'm bummed we didn't get to dance.
I'm just stop. This whole time, I'm just like, Bojack, draw the line. Draw the line, Bojack.
He needs to draw the line. And so he's like, we can dance right now. And so she starts playing music on her phone, and it's buffering.
It's a very good bit. It's a very good bit.
And they dance for like 2.5 seconds. And during it, he goes, you look just like your mother.
Stop. Bojack, it's time to stop, brother. It's time to stop. Maybe if I say it enough times, the end of the episode will change.
It will not. So at that point, Pete calls them down because Maddie is passed out and not doing well, and he had a friend's cousin's mom or whatever who died of alcohol poisoning, and so they go to bring her to the hospital.
Dude, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I absolutely thought Bojack was just gonna dump her somewhere, and just be like, "All right, good luck later." Like, and I guess he does technically do that, but even taking her to the hospital is more than I thought he was gonna do.
So he's concerned because, when kids drink, it's whatever, but when an adult's involved, that kind of comes off as creepy. No shit, Bojack.
Yeah, and it's like you earlier in the episode framed what you were doing as the responsible thing to do. You're like, oh, kids are going to drink, so the responsible adult will make sure that they drink responsibly or whatever. Like,
right.
And then immediately right here, he's like, no, this is a creepy look. I shouldn't have done this. It's like, yeah, you fucking think?
So he gets Pete Repeat to promise to not tell anybody where they got the alcohol from and that everybody left early.
There's like this menacing score underneath it.
And he's like, tell me what you're going to say. And Pete repeats it and he goes, okay, is it okay or is it okay? Okay. And he goes, it's okay. So they leave and they're outside the house, the Moore house, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I don't know that Moore is Kyle's last name. I know it's Charlotte's last name, but I don't think they ever give Kyle.
Unfortunate.
Oh, well, they give Penny's last name is Carson apparently, so maybe.
Okay, then that's probably Kyle's last name.
Carson, yeah. So she's like, "Hey, is Maddie gonna be okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, she'll be fine. They'll take care of her." And she's like, "Hey, I had a great night. And, everybody treats me like a kid, and you're the only person that lets me, like, make my own decisions.
Red flag.
And so she kisses him on the cheek, and he's like, I don't remember what he says. But then she goes in for, like, a kiss, and he's like, whoa, Penny, you're 17, you need to stop. Like, this is inappropriate. Like, and she's like, this is so dumb in the way that only a teenager would react to it. She goes, I know what I want. I can put a condom on with my mouth. I learned in health class. And he's like, what kind of health class are you? But basically he turns her down and she storms off. And he goes outside and Charlotte is out back at their fire pit having a beer. And he sits down with her and they talk. And she's like, what'd you do with my daughter? And he's like, she had a big night. She's fine. Where Kyle and Trip's at a friend's house. Kyle's upstairs sleeping. Oh, okay. So then they have this conversation. He asks her about the tar pit thing that she told him originally, like that LA's a tar pit. And she says something kind of profound that he should really pay attention to. And that's, I don't think a place is the tar pit. I think you are. And he says, me? Well, not you specifically, but you are who you are. It doesn't matter if you're in LA or Maine or New Mexico. You're that person. And he's like, oh. And then he says, I don't know what to do. I keep making these bad decisions and hurting people, and I don't want to do that. And so she tells him the joke of the guy goes to the doctor, hey, doctor, every time I do this, it hurts. And the doctor says, don't do that.
But also, Mike,
actually really good advice. And she goes, but the doctor was a woman.
Crazy.
That's crazy. I don't know if I buy that one.
Wait, that's what you?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
So
very. I can't say that. Never mind.
So he, they're having a moment, and he goes in and kisses her. And what's terrible about this is not that obviously she's married and she has a family, but like she seems kind of like down.
Yep. Yeah. No, they're both leaning into it.
She makes like a noise, and she's like, but then reality hits her, and she goes,
"There's an illusion is shattered." Yeah.
Right. She's like, Bojack, stop. We can't do this. My husband's upstairs, and Bojack gives this impassioned speech about how he's been doing the wrong thing his whole life, sitting on his hands, and now he knows this is right. Let's run away together. She's like, no, we can't do this. I'm happy here. I've spent a long time, building this life, and I think you should leave tomorrow. And he switches gears and goes, wait, no, this is the happiest I've been. I don't want to leave here. I love your family. I'm sorry I kissed you. We can pretend it didn't happen. And she finally goes, no, Bojack, I want you to leave. I don't want you around. You make me too sad. And that's a big punch in the gut for Bojack. And he says, oh, okay. So then he goes up to his boat, and Penny's outside the boat. And she says, I know what I want, Bojack. And he says, Penny, go to bed. But as he goes into his boat's
he leaves the
bedroom,
door open.
He leaves the door open.
So this is where when I said earlier, I don't think at any point, I guess up until this point, because once what happens next happens, obviously he's totally consciously aware of what he's doing. But I think that he thinks to himself that he is refusing this girl, and that he is, I'm doing the right thing. I'm stopping this from happening. But subconsciously, he leaves the door open because he really is a bad person who wants it to happen. But I do think that I don't think it's conscious from him.
So we'll get into it. I want to finish the episode, and then we can talk about it.
Okay.
So we cut back to Charlotte, who sees. I forgot to mention, they talk about. He goes, "Hey, remember when you and I released you and Herb released those balloons with the glow sticks on them?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, that was probably really bad for the environment." He goes, "But that was a good night, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, we had a lot of good nights." And that's how their conversation kind of starts. And earlier in the episode, Penny says to him, "Hey, how did you think of like doing the glow stick and the balloon thing?" And he goes, I don't know. It just kind of came to me. And he kind of like looks off to the side, and you can tell he's lying. But Penny sees the balloon drop down. She goes, what the? And it kind of floats towards the boat. And when we see the boat, the door's closed. So you're like, fuck.
Yep.
She hears some commotion. She goes up, and Penny and Bojack are in bed together, and she's trying to like take his tie off, and they're in the very early stages of doing something absolutely horrible. She sends Penny to her room, and Bojack starts to apologize, and she goes, no. She's just furious, and she's like, if you're not out of my driveway in 30 minutes, I'm calling the police, and if you ever try to contact me or my family again, I will fucking kill you. And she slams the door.
After watching this episode, I had to go online, and I was like, I need to see people watch this episode. So I watched a couple reactions to this episode, and I saw somebody in the comments say about the I will fucking kill you line, that the show restricts using the word fuck for right after Bojack has completely destroyed a relationship with a friend, and that in season 1 it was used. Was it Todd? I thought it was Herb.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, I'm thinking of something else. Sorry.
It was Herb after they fought at his house. After after Bojack, I don't even remember what Bojack says to him, but I think he says like, why won't you forgive me? It's when he's trying to get him to forgive him or whatever, and Herb is refusing to do so. And yeah, but I thought that was an interesting thing. I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like they talk about in like because they're on AMC and like Breaking Bad or The Walking Dead, they have one F word a season, you know, kind of shit. But yeah, so that happens. Bojack gets his boat towed, and for the first time this episode, we hear the Bojack theme play. Not in this, and it's kind of like
got such a good scene.
It's such a good scene. It's very it's like a time lapse of him going back to LA, sitting on the front of his boat while it gets towed, which I don't think you could do. I think that's illegal.
Absolutely not.
I think he'd fall off, by the way, because it's just like a deck chair on the thing of a boat, but maybe not. I guess, I don't know. Anyway, so he rides all the way to his house, docks the boat in his driveway, walks inside. It's trashed in there. Walks out into the deck, looks over it, and we hear, hey. Bojack says, still here? And Diane says, yep, still here. And that's the end of the episode.
Man.
So after all that, 2 months have gone by, and
she's still right there?
She's still there. There's Diane still there.
Yep.
So I have a couple things I want to talk about with this.
Okay.
I think that Bojack's intentions started to get weird when we're talking about the balloons.
Okay.
Because he, like, in my opinion, he's trying to recreate a night he had with Charlotte.
That's true.
With Penny,
that's
right?
Absolutely true.
And so that's when I think his intention shifted. I don't think he planned to do this the whole time. I think he goes, oh, this is something we did that would be fun. And then as they're in the moment and, you know, they're dancing or whatever, he's like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You look just like your mother. And I think that's when the intention shifted. I don't think he thought, oh, I'm going to have sex with this girl. But I think he was like, you know, it just wasn't right what he was doing. You know what I mean?
I think, don't get me wrong, the entire time what he's doing is not right. I might just be holding on to some semblance of like, hey, maybe there is a little bit of decency inside of this person to the point where they wouldn't like plan this. You know, like, right. I guess that was more my point about conscious decision is like, I don't think he's like preying on her.
No.
Like I don't think he's preying on her and trying to manipulate her into doing this thing with him was more my point.
And I guess that's not what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is he, whether subconsciously or not.
Absolutely.
To me, that's when his intentions switch, right?
Okay,
That's when it's like, I guess I don't want to say that he suddenly was like, oh, I can do something with this, but he definitely, like, the fact that he decided to do that with the balloons, and then like when she asked about it, he lied about it. That's, you know, telling to me because like what would have been the harm if he said, oh, me and your mom and our other friend did this once, right?
That's true.
What would have been the harm there for him to admit that to her?
I think also that's a pretty painful memory, anything involving Herb. So I could see it being from a scenario of he doesn't want to talk about that. But you're right. He could have just said like, yeah, your mom and I did it. Like, yeah. And, you're right. Yeah.
And to me, that like absolutely, I would guess that would like stop Penny from feeling some sort of way. You know what I mean?
I feel like if it didn't stop with you look just like your mother, it was never going to stop.
I guess that's true.
You know, like,
you're probably right about that. Yeah.
I don't know that anything could kill the vibe any faster than that line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I just, man, can't believe he said that.
Yeah. Here's you haven't watched the next episode yet, right?
I have not yet.
Okay. Here's my question for you going forward. Does Bojack tell Diane?
Oh my God. He can't. Can he? Like, what will she think?
Right.
Like, well, that I don't know. I hadn't even considered because I guess in my head I'm just like, he's not gonna tell them. But like, I mean, why would he tell them?
Yeah.
Like, his whole thing always is doing something bad and then trying to get away from it and starting over and being like, okay, so there's this
so
thing.
You don't think he's learned anything at all from this?
I'd like to think that he has, but I don't think so.
Okay.
There's this whole thing in the show Barry, which is about a hitman who wants to be an actor, where throughout the show there's a theme of the idea of starting now, where Barry keeps going, I'm gonna be good, I'm gonna turn a new leaf, I'm gonna change my ways starting now. And that is kind of how I think of Bojack in a way, where I think Bojack is like, all right, that went terribly, but that doesn't matter because starting now, we're going to get back on track and I'm not going to tell anybody about what happened. We're just going to leave that back there. That is a thing that happened, but I'm not going to acknowledge it. I'm just going to like, and the irony of that is that if you don't acknowledge it, you can never move on and get better from it. Right. Like that is a form of self-defeatism or whatever. By having that idea of starting now, but I feel like Bojack would subscribe to that belief.
Yeah. I agree.
The thing I wanted to talk about around the events of this episode is how do you feel? I want to know how you feel having been watching all these episodes with the full context of the story about how Charlotte has acted in the past. Because to me, I'd need to rewatch the episodes. I can't tell if she is not providing this information just out of happenstance or if she is in the past willfully obscuring her status to Bojack.
Oh, so you're saying when like they met at the funeral?
Yes.
So I don't think she's obscuring it. I think, I mean, she didn't mention it, right? But they only talk for a few minutes at the funeral.
I just can't remember the episode super well, and that's why I'm asking you, because you would have had that thought while watching it.
The only time we've spoken to Charlotte in the present was at that funeral.
Okay.
And she just says, hey, if you're ever in New Mexico sometime, come say hello.
Okay.
And to Bojack, in his mind, that's like an invitation, you know, because that's what he wants, and that's like the thing that's gonna like pull him back into being a good person, and like in season 1 when they were doing all the drugs and he had that vision, right?
Yeah.
But really, I think she's just a nice person, and you know, they knew each other for a small period of time, and she was like, well, he was, you know, he was someone that she got along with. So I don't think there's any. I would argue that Charlotte's actions in this episode do more to lead Bojack on than anything she had done previously.
That's what I was thinking, and that's why I was wondering if you had seen anything in her appearance in season 1 that seemed to kind of align.
Well, there's the flashback scene where she says, because she dated Herb, you know, she makes a comment about how they, you know, maybe they could have gotten together instead, you know.
But like, that's in the past.
That's in the past.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's nothing, until this episode, there's nothing that I would go, huh.
Yeah.
She was leading him on to believe there was something else going on here. But the way she acts a couple times in this episode, especially that time before he's caught on the boat with Penny.
Yeah, when they're at the fire.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, she leans into him and puts her head on his shoulder, and it's just, you could.
It's a level of comfort that doesn't make sense for like, it's not like, oh, we're just really close friends, right? Because she says it herself later on. I don't know you. You don't know me. We haven't spoken in 30 years. Like, we were friends for a couple years in our 20s. You know, like I could see that kind of interaction maybe between friends that have known each other their entire lives and are
Right.
close in that sense, but like that's not their relationship.
Yeah. Well, and I want to be very clear. We're not saying Penny is the
Of
cause
course.
of these, or not
No.
Penny. Charlotte is the cause of these problems.
No.
But I think there's definitely enough in her actions that, like, for someone like Bojack, it left like just a small crack of light in the tunnel that kept him like pursuing, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think there's part of her that is like, you know, the way she reacts to the kiss and everything is like, you know, I've always kind of liked this guy, right?
Yeah, it's like a wonder of like, what if?
Right. But you know, she quickly snaps back to reality and goes, this is not what I want, right?
Whereas Bojack constantly lives in unreality.
He lives in unreality. He lives in the past.
Yeah, he lives with Yuzora and Quadratum. He did nothing, you know.
So, Shawn, I'll tell you, now that you've made it through this episode, I think you can handle anything Bojack Horseman's going to throw at you.
Really?
Okay. Here's the thing. I'm not going to say it doesn't get sadder or more traumatizing or more just hurtful to the people watching it. But this is one of the most despicable actions that Bojack does.
Okay.
And if you can make it through this, you can make it through any of it, I think.
So, like, this is this is like not the lowest low emotionally of the show, but like Bojack being a bad person.
See, and I don't even want to say that.
Okay, cool.
I don't even want to say that because he still does horrible things as a person. Like, he's not, you know.
Yeah, of course. He's not going to all of a sudden be like, oh, I'm a good person now.
Right. But for me, this is like the first, like, punch. Right?
Okay.
And if you can take this punch and keep moving.
You can keep taking the punches then.
You can keep taking the punches.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it now.
So you're going to get punched harder.
Yeah. Is this the episode where Tara stopped, or was that last season?
Tara stopped right before this episode.
Right before this episode.
I don't know how she knew, but she said, I don't think I want to watch this show anymore.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, why? She goes, I think something bad's going to happen. And I said, okay, you don't have to watch it, dear. And I had already seen it, so I knew. Yeah. And I was just like, no, don't watch it.
Yeah.
If you think this is going to make you depressed, do not watch it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it was right before this episode. She has, you know, that woman sense.
Yeah,
that
she knows.
have, you know, she knows.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah, I'll let you say that.
Those women, they know.
They know. They know. God damn it.
So I don't know that the categories really apply to this episode. There's not a ton of jokes. I do have a couple things on IMDb I want to read you that are kind of jokey. And
I like I will say I do have a bit, which the bit that I liked was the Pete repeat and him never Pete repeating.
Yeah. Pete repeats a good bit.
I like the line about do you have a bit, or because I'm gonna keep going through the categories. Go ahead, I actually do have answers to these. I think my favorite quote is when Charlotte is like, I can't remember the actual quote, but she says to Trip, like, you're at a table with your sister, your parents, and an old, a strange old man. Like, what could possibly be giving you a boner right now?
And then Bojack's like, am I the old man in this scenario? Yeah. Clearly, you are.
Yeah. That's my favorite joke. I guess I don't have any animal-based humor.
Yeah, the animal one was tough. There's the part where they say, I think her name's Lila, and they go, oh, Lila is so much prettier than me. And it's like this ugly turtle person that looks like they're like 80 years old. So there's that.
I did like the delivery of I will fucking kill you a lot.
Yeah.
I think that Charlotte's actress gives a
Olivia
great
Wilde.
Yep. Damn, that's Olivia Wilde. I forgot.
Yep.
Man.
My only things is one thing I really liked is during the Kyle and the kids you know, the way they set it up, it's like looking at a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
And one of the pictures is Kyle and the two kids at Todd's Disneyland. Gabe the grease fire is behind him, and they're having a great time.
That's incredible. I wonder if they're there in the background of the episode. Probably not.
I
right?
don't think so. No, I think that's more of a thing they decided later.
It's pretty funny.
One
though.
of the quotes in the yearbook, that when she's looking at the yearbook, it says it's by Gandhi, and it says it's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. And they attribute it to Gandhi, but it's just the Green Day song.
Something unpredictable.
And then I guess the best animal-based one to me is some of the posters in Penny's room.
Okay.
Like she has posters of like Bon Iver and Lana Del Rey and Fleet Foxes, but they're animal versions. But Fleet Foxes, the name isn't changed at all. It's just foxes. And so I don't remember what they changed Lana Del Rey to, but she's like not a person. She's like an animal. And that stuff's funny. But yeah, other than that's it. Anything else you want to say about this episode, Shawn?
How dare you do this to me?
Yeah. I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, you did. You now.
Unlike Bojack,
yeah,
I knew what I was doing.
Bojack might not have totally been 100%, cognizant of what he was doing, but you absolutely were.
Okay.
So really, who's worse in this scenario?
Bojack. Definitely Bojack.
Bojack's worse, yeah.
Definitely Bojack.
Worse. If anybody listening answered Mike, red flag. Red flag. I bet Egg would have answered
Egg.
Mike. Probably Egg. Yeah.
So next episode is the season finale of season 2.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Out to Sea.
Okay.
It's got 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb.
Okay.
And the little blurb here is Bojack discovers the Secretariat film was finished without him.
Oh.
Princess Carolyn starts her own agency firm.
Okay.
Todd finds himself trapped in the improv comedy cult.
Uh-oh.
And something interesting, I like to give a little teaser here.
Uh-huh.
I think for the first time in a Bojack Horseman episode, there is a Kingdom Hearts voice actor.
What?
They've referenced another Kingdom Hearts voice actor in David Boreanaz.
Yes.
But his actual voice was never in the episode.
No.
This episode has a Kingdom Hearts voice actor in it.
We'll see if I can pick him out.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
you'll be able to pick him out.
Okay.
He plays himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is kind of a bit by me. It's not.
Oh, okay.
This is a bit of a bit.
Oh, is like Mickey Mouse in this?
He actually is a Kingdom Hearts voice actor, but it's kind of a bit. You'll see what I mean.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. If you're still here with us, I know that sometimes the show is tough, so thank you for sticking with us and letting us take our own spin and talk about it. We'll see you guys next episode for the season finale. And Shawn, where can people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at Shawn_AFK. Everything that I do is posted there.
And you can find me at SpikeGhetti Bros on Twitter and on twitch.tv/Super SpikeGhetti Bros. Thanks for watching, guys.
Suck a dick, dumb shits! Thank you.